Hi everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I'm so happy to have you here today. Before we get started, be sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. Completely free to subscribe, and I would love to have you as part of my crafty family. Now in today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to press DTF designs to wood. Now, if you're new to DTF, totally cool. Let's talk about what that is first. So DTF stands for direct to film transfers. Now you can order these from lots of places, and I'll link some of my favorites down below. But these are a product that are printed with a special ink that you will press to fabric or other porous surfaces like wood. Now everybody asks, can I use these on cups? Can I use these on glass? Can I use them on plastic or acrylic or anything else? And the answer is not really. These are best suited for fabrics or for wood because of the way the adhesive works with them. It needs to have something to soak into. So for example, this shirt here is a DTF print, and I was able to press this to a fabric. But they'll come to you looking like this, and I'll put some links down below for a little more information about DTF or how you can build gang sheets to order these. Now, what's fun about these is they come in so many colors. You can do literally the colors of the rainbow. Your options are endless, and that's one thing that I really like about them. You're able to really order super colorful designs, and they're really versatile. Now I'm going to do a couple of different wood projects for you so that you can see what they're all going to look like. And we're going to do this really thick, heavy one too, because I want to show you that you don't necessarily have to use a full heat press. I'm going to use an EasyPress on the really thick wood. Then I'm going to show you how to do these and know that you're getting the right pressure when you use a regular heat press. You can also use things like a Cricut mini press or an auto press with these, so it's really easy to do. Now, I also want to let you know that these are pressed at 310 degrees for 10 seconds from the company that I order from, but always check with the manufacturer to make sure that you're following their directions. Most I've seen are pretty much the same, but I always want you to check so that you don't mess up your projects and you get great results. So without further ado, let's get started. For some reason, the audio on this was really bad, but I'm going to be using an EasyPress for this piece of wood because you can see how thick it is. So with using DTF on wood, you want to just do it like you would really on fabric as well. You want to line it up to where you want it to sit on your wood. Now, obviously this design is a little small for this round, but this is exactly what we're going to do here, and it's really, really easy. So you want to make sure you get it lined up. Now you can use some heat tape on it to hold it in place, but you want to make sure that you do cover it with parchment paper, just like you would if you were doing this with fabric. That's going to protect your press, your design, and your wood from any extra heat that might get on it. This here is my HTV Ront press. So what I'm going to do is turn it on, and I'm going to make sure that I set my time and my temperature. So again, your temperature you want at 310 degrees. Time is about 10 seconds, but I'll let this heat up. This heats up really quickly, and then we can press this, and I'll show you how much easier it is when you have the larger press. I'll also link everything that we're using for this video down below. Now this doesn't take long to heat up at all. It's super, super fast. So I'm going to slide it just a little bit just so I can get this a little more in front of me so I'm easier to press on it. Now, again, this may not cover the full thing, and I don't think it does, and it definitely does not. I can see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press down. Now with this one, to start your timer, you hit this little R button and it'll start the timer, and then you do want to press down because DTF does take a bit of pressure. So I am pushing down. And now that it's done that, I'm just going to kind of look, and I can see I definitely didn't get over here or up there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my press, and it's okay if you press over a part that you already pressed. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Your main concern is getting all of the parts pressed. So again, I am pushing down on this. Now I will say, is this my favorite way to do these? No, I hate having to add the pressure to these. I just don't find that I can give enough pressure as I would like, but if this is what you got, this is what you got. Now I will say this desk does sit high, so that can be some of the issue as well. So let me go ahead and take this off and set that to the side. Now when I look at this, it's really hard to tell if everything got pressed, but it does look pretty good. I can feel the heat all over it. So what we need to do now is just like when you're doing this with shirts, you need to allow this to cool. That allows the adhesive and everything to kind of melt into your blank and allow you to be able to remove the backing. Now with something like this, we will remove it slow, and there may be parts that don't stick, and that's okay because I used the EasyPress. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this cool off. And then what we'll do is we'll start to peel back our carrier sheet, which is this plastic right here. And once we do that, we'll be able to see if we missed any parts. So this is pretty cool now, which it really should just be about the same temperature as the air. You can see I can touch it, no problem. Now I think I'm gonna start over here with our little gingerbread men, not this solid section. The solid section's making me a little nervous. But like I said, when you're doing this with a EasyPress or a mini press, you're gonna wanna be a lot more careful than when you do it with a big press, because sometimes you may have missed a spot or it just didn't get pressed well. Now you can see the gingerbread men are really staying, but there's a little spot right there that looks like it didn't quite stick. This whole section right here did not stick very well. So when you come across a section that didn't stick, and this is one reason that I really don't love using an EasyPress, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna repress that. So I'm just gonna take my press, I'm gonna hit the button, and then I'm gonna press down on that. And we're gonna do 10 seconds again. Now we are gonna have to let this cool again, but that's okay. We wanna make sure that this sticks. DTF on wood is fantastic, and I can't wait to show you what this looks like when it's finished, but doing it with the EasyPress type of style just is a little more difficult. So give yourself some grace. I'm gonna use my sleeve of my shirt just to pull some of that heat out of this, so maybe it'll cool a little faster. You can use things like a tile or a little remnant of marble, really anything that can pull heat. You could even use your other like pieces of wood if you wanna just kind of pull a little heat quicker. You can do that as well. It's really up to you. I'll just kind of let the rest of this just sit, and hopefully it should all be well done now. But like I said, this can take a couple tries. I ended up having to press this quite a few times, and some of that's because with an EasyPress, it's really hard to get even pressure, and you really do need to use quite firm pressure on wood, really any DTF. So I do really recommend using a regular heat press. Now this can be done, it's just gonna take you a little while to do it. Now I'm trying to speed up the process by cooling that down using my shirt sleeve so that I can make sure that it's pressed down, but I had to press this several times. Now part of it could be because there may have been a little dip in the wood where I wasn't able to get that heat press to really give it a good pressure, but I had a lot of issues, and this is just not the easiest way to do it or the way I would recommend. If you have options to use a real heat press, that is what I would highly recommend that you do. There were just a lot of reasons this wasn't sticking, and like I said, a lot of it could just be that it really does need a really heavy pressure, and I just wasn't able to give that with it on the table. Now maybe if you were able to put it on the floor, you might have a little bit better luck. Now this still did come out, and it's still really cute, just wasn't perfect and wasn't as quick and easy as I wish it would be. Now, was that annoying? Absolutely. Did that take a really long time? Sure did. But we need to press this one more time just so that we make sure that it's well pressed. So what you'll do is, again, for this one, you'll just press it for that 10 seconds. Now, am I concerned that it's going to not cover all of it? No, because it's on there, so I'm not really concerned or worried about anything coming off. That's just like the last piece to press to make sure it's well on there. All right, I think that looks pretty good. I think other than it took a while, that was definitely an option. Now I'm gonna go ahead and turn this press off. I'm gonna move this to the side. We're gonna go over to my larger press, and I'm gonna show you how we press this DTF using an actual heat press with like a thinner piece of wood. Because like I said, you can see how thick this piece is. It's huge. It's like an inch thick. This is one of those big wood rounds from like Home Depot or Lowe's. So we'll be using some much thinner pieces coming up, and we've got some really cute designs. So let me lay out my designs, figure out what's going on what, and then I'll show you how to press all these. The first thing we need to do is turn on our heat press. And with this one, this is pretty similar to most heat presses that you'll use. You're gonna set your time and your temperature. So we need to hit the set button, and then we need to turn our temperature down to 310. And then our time, we're gonna turn down to 10. So we're just using the up and down arrows. Hit set again and again and again, and now it's gonna heat up. Now this does heat up pretty quickly, so we'll give this a couple minutes to heat up. While it's doing that, we'll get our first item laid out on the platen. So one thing that I recommend when you are doing DTF on wood is you're gonna wanna check how it's gonna do with the pressing pillow or without. I'm gonna start with our thinnest piece of wood. So I'm gonna remove the DTF print, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check how the pressure feels, and to do that, I'm just gonna take my heat press and press it down. Now, for this piece of wood, this feels like a great pressure, so I'm gonna go ahead and allow that to be the pressure we're going to use. Now, the heat press, you can do this while it's hot or not. Now I'm going to take my goose design. This is like the one that fit on this. Again, probably not like the exact design I would use on one of these, but this is just to show you how you do DTF on wood. So I get this kind of where I want it. Now I can use some heat tape if I want to hold this down, but you want to make sure you have a protective piece of paper over this. So I'm just going to come through and place that parchment paper right over this. Parchment paper can be used over and over again. We're going to let this heat up, then we'll press this. Now once we've pressed this one, I want to then press our thicker pieces of wood, which we'll need to test our pressure again. The heat press is ready to go, so what we'll do is we're going to press this for that 10 seconds with the firm pressure. Firm pressure is really important when you're working with DTF. Once it's done pressing, go ahead and lift that up, and we're going to allow this to cool. Now we will want to press this a second time, so keep that parchment paper close. Now a lot of times I'll take this off the press to cool just because that residual heat can cause it to take a little bit longer to cool. So I'll usually just take it out. You can kind of, wiggle it around a little. You can, again, use like another piece of cool wood to place on top to cool it off a little bit. That'll pull some of that heat from it. You can just let it sit. It depends on how impatient you are. Now, because this is a video, you're not going to see it cool the whole time. I would say that it takes anywhere between 2 to 5 minutes to fully cool. Again, kind of depending on how you cool it. You can also use like a cold piece of glass. You can use all sorts of things to cool this down a little bit quicker. But I'm going to go ahead and get this cool. We'll peel this off, and then we're going to repress. So now this is fully cooled, I can go ahead and peel, and you'll see this is so much better than using the EasyPress. I didn't even have to worry about it lifting. It was perfect. Now you want to, again, cover it up to keep it safe, and you're going to go ahead and press this one more time for that 10 seconds. That's just going to make sure that the DTF print is really well held on to your wood. Now you might ask, can I do this with acrylic or plastic or glass? The answer is no. The DTF print needs a porous surface for the adhesive to attach to. Plus, you're likely going to melt plastic, you're going to break glass, and the adhesive might leach out on the sides and look really, really bad. So for something like that, you'll want to use UV DTF, and I'll link some videos down below. So this one came out really, really good. Now I'll give you a close-up look of all of them, but let's get our little cutting boards next. I'm going to start with this smaller one, but remember I said we want to check that pressure because this is so much thicker. So I think that if I was to press this being so thick, I can't even push that down. So you have a couple of options, and one that I like to do is I just take away my pressing pillow because I don't really need it. And this should be just fine without the pressing pillow. So let's see how that pressure feels. Now, honestly, could I turn that pressure up? I probably could. So to do that, there's a dial on the back here, and you just twist that and you turn that pressure up, and then I'll just check it again and see how that feels. That feels much better. So once I'm happy with my pressure, I'm going to flip this over because I want to use this side. This side has like a couple dark spots on it, and I like this side a little bit better. Now for this one, I'm just going to use this really cute Just a Girl Who Loves Fall design, and I'm just going to kind of get it set where I want it. That looks pretty good. Again, you want to have your parchment paper because you want to protect everything. Just going to double check that's where I want it. And now we're going to go ahead and again press this for that 10 seconds. Once it's done, lift this up. Go ahead, you can move your parchment paper and we'll let this cool. I've let this cool again, so we'll go ahead and peel. Now again, I'm not super concerned, except I do see this didn't cut, and like this didn't stick down at all down here at the bottom. So my guess is that has to do with the pressure used on our press. So if you're having that kind of an issue, you may want to bring your pressing pillow back in. And in this case, we're going to turn that pressure down a little bit so that we can press this with the pressing pillow. Because what the pressing pillow does is it allows this to kind of push into it, but it allows the top to give it a much more even pressure. So we're going to go ahead and do that and see if that works just a little bit better, which it should. Sometimes you'll have to play around and figure out what works best for your press, and it's not always going to be perfect. So I, as always, will experiment with things and see if they worked. Now it does look like we got a press down here. I can see that it's not like popping up. It looks like it's good. So again, we will need to allow this to cool, but now that I've kind of figured out that yes, I need to use that pressing pillow, that's something we can note for the next time that we press wood with our heat press. Now that this is cool, we can go ahead and peel. We should have no problem now that we use that pressing pillow. But I am glad that that didn't work so that you guys could get a better idea of like why we test things out and try them. This came out really, really cute. I like it. So let's grab that other cutting board and we'll get that one pressed too. This one here is about the same thickness as the other one, so I don't think I'll need to change the pressure, but I do just want to make sure I get this straight. And I just think this little design is so funny, and I just love it. Now I'm going to go ahead and press this down. Now you should have a little bit of trouble pressing it, but it shouldn't be so hard that you can't press this down. It's kind of how you know that you've got a firm pressure. You should really have to push to get it down, but it shouldn't be impossible. Now, again, do the same thing, pop that up. We're going to let this cool off, and then we'll peel. One thing I too want to mention is that you notice I didn't press that other one the second time yet. I wanted to get this one pressed and make sure that everything was good here. We'll repress, and what's cool is we should be able to do that if you're doing like multiples. What I always recommend doing is pressing the first time, get this one out of the way, let it cool, put your next one down, press, get that one out of the way. By the time you're done with that, this first one should be cool. You can peel, then you can repress. So it goes quickly if you're trying to do like multiples. So like if I want to get that other one done, let me just move this guy out of the way. I can just slip him right down there. I can bring this one back in. Now I did forget the parchment paper, which was silly of me, but honestly, I don't think it made that much of a difference because I do have a Teflon sheet. So if you have some sort of heat protectant sheet, don't fret if you forget that parchment paper. You should be totally fine. It should cause zero damage to your product, so I wouldn't worry too much. It is definitely recommended, but if you make a mistake and forget it one time, it's not going to be the end of the world. But now this one is fully done. It looks so pretty. So while that one is finished, let's bring this one back in. This one is cool, so I should be able to peel this, no problem. I'm going to go ahead and peel this back, just making sure that everything stays down, because we do have some little lines, and I can see here that his little wing, for some reason, it didn't stick. That's okay. I'm going to try going from this direction, and if his little wing sticks this direction, you can see it's kind of popping up. That's okay, because that second press will help us with that issue. So for this one, I'm definitely going to make sure I don't forget that parchment paper. I'm going to go ahead and press this down. We'll press this for that 10 seconds, and then we've got everything pressed. This only takes a couple of minutes, which is great. There's no cutting, there's no weeding, there's none of that. Plus you get these full color designs, and they can be as colorful as you want them to be, and they cover that whole spectrum of stuff. So we'll let this one cool down, and I'm going to show you what everything looks like.
I think these came out so cute and they're super colorful, but I want you to be aware that I would not recommend putting these in the dishwasher. You can wash them, but you'll want to hand wash. You don't want to scrub the design, and you do not want to soak the design as well. So if it's on like a cutting board, you also don't want to use them as actual cutting boards. They should be for decoration only. But you can see here where it got messed up from using that EasyPress. So truly not my favorite option, but it will work in a pinch. But look at how good this one came out, and it's so colorful. If you have any questions about these DTF prints or anything about this, please let me know in those comments down below. One of the things I love about DTF is these little details that you can get that you really can't get with HTV or other options. Now, I'm going to link some videos about DTF and how to make gang sheets and all of that down below, so be sure to check that out in the video's description. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.